Imagine waking up after 30 days and not recognizing yourself. Not because something external has drastically changed, but because you've finally confronted what you've always avoided. What if I told you there's a hidden part of you shaping every choice, sabotaging your dreams, and feeding your fears? What if this part is preventing you from achieving everything you desire? Carl Jung, one of the greatest explorers of the human mind, said something that could change your life forever. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Pause for a moment and think. How many times have you tried to change a habit, leave a toxic relationship, or simply build a new version of yourself, but something always held you back? As if an invisible force whispered in your ear, "This isn't for you. You're not good enough. Don't even try. You won't succeed." This force has a name: the shadow. Jung revealed that within each of us lies a hidden part, composed of repressed fears, unresolved traumas, and motives society taught us to hide. But here's the secret: what you hide holds more power over you than what you reveal. Think with me. How often have you overreacted to criticism, felt inadequate without reason, or repeated self-destructive behaviors despite knowing they harm you? This is the shadow at work, lurking in the corners of your mind, controlling your emotions and choices without your awareness. And here's what's even more terrifying. The more you ignore it, the stronger it grows. But what if I told you there's a way to face this hidden part and turn it into your greatest strength? Imagine living without the burden of guilt, insecurity, or self-sabotage. Imagine finally breaking free from the patterns that have held you back for years. This is shadow work. The problem? Facing the shadow isn't easy. From childhood, we're taught to hide what doesn't fit, to smile when we're sad, say yes when we mean no, and act strong when all we want is to collapse. We've crafted masks to survive, but the price we pay is steep. Jung believed the journey to an authentic life begins when we accept the challenge of exploring our darkest parts. Because there, in the place we fear to look, lies our true potential. And this is exactly what I want to offer you today: a 30-day challenge. Over the next 30 days, I want you to embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. But before we talk about how, it's crucial to understand the why. The shadow isn't just an abstract idea. It manifests in subtle yet profound ways in your life. Think of the last time you procrastinated on something important, felt envy but refused to admit it, or missed an opportunity out of fear. You might blame poor discipline or bad luck, but the truth is far more complex. Your shadow is always present, quietly shaping your reality, forcing you to self-sabotage without realizing it. And the question I ask you now is, how long will you allow this to happen? The most fascinating part of Jung's concept is that the shadow isn't something to remove, it's something to integrate. This isn't about destroying parts of yourself, but understanding that immense potential lies in the traits you avoid facing. But how do we do this? Over the next 30 days, you'll learn to 1. See the shadow. Recognize it when it emerges. 2. Understand it. Discover the patterns that have repeated for years. 3. Use it to your advantage. Unlock dormant strengths within you. The key to this transformation is the courage to look inward. As Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." Now think with me. What if everything you fear about yourself is actually the key to your freedom? In the next videos, we'll dive deeper into how to start this journey, the first steps to meeting your shadow, and the incredible changes you can achieve in just 30 days. But before we continue, I want you to do something simple yet powerful. Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself, what am I avoiding seeing? The answer may not come immediately, but it's already within you. I'll see you in the next part, where we'll confront your shadow and transform your life from the inside out. Don't miss it. The best is yet to come. Now that you've begun to understand the hidden power of the shadow, it's time to go deeper. Before we continue, I want you to ask yourself an honest question. How often have I been my own worst enemy? You may have spent months or even years trying to change your life, adopting new habits, new strategies, but there's always something invisible pulling you back to old patterns. Have you ever felt disappointed, as if an invisible wall stood between you and the life you want? This wall isn't a coincidence. It's built brick by brick from parts of yourself you haven't yet met. That voice saying, "I'm not good enough," the paralyzing fear when opportunities arise, the habit of self-sabotage when things go well. These are all manifestations of your shadow. Here's the truth few dare to admit. The shadow doesn't disappear on its own. It doesn't fade with time or weaken over the years. In fact, it grows. If you don't face it, it quietly gains control over your thoughts, behaviors, and even your relationships. Jung used a powerful metaphor to explain this. Imagine your mind is like an iceberg. The small, visible tip, your conscious personality, represents only 10% of who you truly are. The remaining 90%, submerged, is your unconscious. Your beliefs, fears, repressed memories, and unknown desires. Now think, what are you hiding beneath the surface? Maybe you suppress anger because you learned early that expressing it is wrong. Maybe you hide ambition because you were once told it makes you selfish. Or maybe you conceal fear because admitting it makes you feel weak. But here's the paradox. What you hide doesn't vanish. It operates behind the scenes, sabotaging your choices, directing your motives, and preventing you from reaching your true potential. To understand this better, consider an example. Imagine a man named Lucas, who always dreamed of starting a business. But every time he's about to take a crucial step, he procrastinates, makes excuses, and convinces himself now isn't the right time. He blames time constraints, market difficulties, or competition, but the truth is far deeper. Lucas's shadow is his fear of failure. As a child, he grew up hearing that mistakes were unacceptable and failure was shameful. He internalized this belief unconsciously, and now his unconscious mind does everything to protect him from feeling that shame again. The result? Lucas never leaves his comfort zone. He's trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage that seems impossible to break, until he faces his shadow and realizes his fear of failure stems from unconscious programming. And if you think this only happens to others, think again. We all have similar patterns and small stories shaping our reality in ways we can't even imagine. So, how do we begin shining light on this shadow? The first key is awareness. You must be willing to observe your behavior without judgment. Every time you overreact, ask yourself, why am I acting this way? What does this say about me? Jung's powerful exercise is projection. We often project our shadow onto others. The person you can't stand may reflect something you hide. The coworker you see as arrogant might mirror your own struggles with self-expression. The second step is acceptance. Facing the shadow doesn't mean fighting it. It means welcoming it. Anger, fear, and insecurity are parts of you. They don't define you, but ignoring them makes them stronger. Finally, the third step is conscious action. Once you recognize hidden patterns, you can start acting differently. Instead of running from discomfort, use it as a compass. It will show you where your next opportunity for growth lies. If you think this is just theory, think again. Big personal transformations begin with small shifts in perspective. Jung believed true freedom comes only when we accept our wholeness, light and dark. Now, imagine what would happen if you accepted this challenge over the next 30 days. If every negative thought became a chance to ask, what does this really say about me? If every overreaction became an opportunity to look inward instead of blaming the world. If every fear became a teacher, not an enemy. What would you change in your life? This is the grand mission I want to give you in the coming days. Start observing your shadow. Notice moments of shame, anger, fear, or frustration. Write them down. Ask yourself, what's behind this? You might be surprised by what you find. I'll see you in the next part, where we'll explore practical techniques to bring your shadow into the light and turn it into your greatest strength. Because believe me, the key to your transformation is already within you. Don't skip this next step. It could change your life. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to find success effortlessly, while others remain stuck in destructive patterns no matter how hard they try? Is the difference just willpower, or is something far deeper happening behind the scenes? The truth is, the answer lies in what you avoid looking at. What if I told you the key to unlocking your true potential is hidden in the parts of yourself you've disowned? The unresolved traumas, suppressed emotions, and truths you're afraid to face. Swiss psychologist Carl Jung discovered that our minds operate as a complex system. Everything we don't accept in ourselves transforms into a hidden force, the shadow. The problem? The more we ignore it, the more it manifests in our lives in ways we don't realize. Here's what's fascinating. Modern psychology research shows that up to 95% of our daily decisions are made unconsciously. This means, without realizing it, you're guided by beliefs, fears, and experiences stored deep within you for years. Imagine a man named Ricardo. He's a competent professional, always praised by his colleagues. But there's always a voice inside him saying, "You'll never be good enough." Every time a growth opportunity arises, he feels overwhelming anxiety and ends up sabotaging himself by letting others take the lead. Ricardo thinks his problem is low self-confidence. But the truth? At some point in his childhood, he internalized the belief that mistakes are unacceptable, perhaps from harsh parental criticism, a strict teacher, or unfair comparisons to siblings. The origin doesn't matter, because this belief is now rooted in his shadow. And today, even as an adult, it still governs him. Here's the most intriguing part. The shadow emerges at the most critical moments in your life. When you're about to take a big step, it surfaces in full force, whispering doubts, old fears, and beliefs.